back. Another check on the market. Stocks ripping higher to kick off their week. If you're just joining us here on CNBC, maybe waking up in Guam, good morning. The Dow jumping more than 550 points. The S&P surging more than 2.5%. The NASDAQ leading the charge, up nearly 3.5%. By the way, the NASDAQ's best single day since all the way back in July. Tesla and Amazon seeing their best days also since July. And discretionary names like Caesars Entertainment, Etsy, and Expedia also seeing outsized gains. All right, moving on. China abruptly delaying the release of its latest gross domestic product report with just 1 day's notice for the market. It's a highly unusual move. It comes during one of the most important meetings on China's political calendar. That is the Communist Party Congress, which happens every 5 years. President Xi expected to win an unprecedented third term as the country's leader. Here now to break down what this means for the markets and more, CNBC contributor Fred Kemp. He is the president and CEO of the Atlantic Council. I know the polls had Xi just barely ahead, Fred. I mean, it was a hotly contested race, but I think Xi is going to pull it out by the slimmest of margin. How surprised are you, sarcasm aside, by what's probably going to be a lifetime appointment as president?
Well, you can't be surprised by the appointment, but what's interesting to watch is the appointments around him. In a democratic political process, he would have a problem right now. His zero COVID policy hasn't worked. His economy's been slowing down. His aggressive policy internationally hasn't worked. It's backfired, and his crackdown on private sector and particularly technology companies has also fed the slowdown. And then his embracing of Vladimir Putin, that's got to not be very popular among the party faithful as well. But he's got total control. He is a one-man band here, and so he will get a third term. But he'll get a third term under much more difficult economic situation than when he came in.
I'm trying to understand, Fred, and please help us understand what's going on over there. Okay, I mean, just today didn't get any attention. It should have. Chinese government told that Sinopec and CNOOC that they are not allowed to sell liquefied natural gas. They have to keep it all. They were reselling it to Europe. That's terrible news for Europe, by the way. Their COVID zero, it doesn't seem to be working except to crush the economy. And they seem to be just becoming more insular at a time when they were supposed to be more open and welcoming of Western capital. What's the goal here? Nothing seems to make sense unless they just want to be their own economy, maybe with a little tie to Russia, maybe a little tie over here to India, and that's it.
Well, they want to be successful economically, but it's not as important to President Xi Jinping as being ideologically pure. We have some trouble. I'm sure a lot of CNBC viewers will have trouble thinking that a leader of our times is serious about Marxism-Leninism, but he is. If you look back to the 1970s, Deng Xiaoping talked about how theory had to go out the window and that they had to be more pragmatic. He said that in a 1981 party speech. Now, what you're seeing is President Xi has put theory back into practice again. And so the ideology is important. He's moved politics and he's moved the economy to the Marxist and the Leninist left. And he's moved his national policy and his national security to the nationalist right. And so you see a whole new form of government, let's call it Marxist nationalism. And that's what we're seeing unfold in front of us. And what comes with that is much more control over certainly over foreign access to his market, but also over private sector in his market. So we've seen a reduction of foreign investment as a share of GDP to 21% last year from 30% 10 years ago, and that probably will continue to decline.
Hey, Fred, it's Tim. So that's where I wanted to go with this. The private companies at the expense of the state companies, by any measure, state-run companies anywhere in the world are inefficient and not the innovators. And yet China is looking to compete in the 21st century, on everything from cyber to the internet to nanotechnology. How do you reconcile this? But I guess the question is, are we ever going to get to a place where the Chinese government recognizes they need to pull back and let the private enterprise flourish in China, even if it's not U.S. companies?
So we've been looking at this at the Atlantic Council with Rhodium Group. And a lot of people were watching his speech, President Xi's speech yesterday, 2-hour speech, to see if there were any signs that he would move things back into a reformist direction, because certainly that's what foreign investors are telling him, and that's what his own economy is telling him. The IMF says that your state companies at best are 80% as productive as a private company. For the last 10 years, they have increased productivity in China 0.6% per year. The previous decade, it was 3 times as much. So productivity is not growing. But in this new ideological approach to the world, they think they can get enough economy, they can get enough efficiency, they can get enough growth. They have to control their technology, their own technology more, and not depend as much on outside technology. And if the trade-off is more social and political control for a little bit less growth, I think it's a risk that President Xi at the moment seems willing to take.
Just unbelievable. Fred Kemp, the Atlantic Council. Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate that. Karen, is China uninvestable?
I think so.
It's becoming that way.
Yeah, because, I mean, there are many people who thought that this would be the pivot here, right? Once he's in, maybe.
Once he has the power, he should loosen up.
Once he has the power, then he can do other things that were working.
He might. We don't know.
Well. I thought the lack of data was very interesting. Why didn't they just, instead of delaying that important data, why didn't they just make it up and have it be
Which is what they
positive?
usually do.
Right. That was interesting to me.
And they're doubling down on their COVID zero policy.
Which,
I mean, it's
surprising
just, which,
too.
by the way, is probably why natural gas has dropped every day for the last couple of weeks and is at the lowest level in a couple of years.